at the heart of it, I'm writing up these instrumentals and Justin's doing the concepts and all the vocals and the lyrics. So the root of it all isn't really changing.
Max is the main writer, and then we just work on whatever comes up.
When we're in the studio and we're like actually recording the things, that's kind of when like layers and other ideas kind of get added into the songs.
Comparable to like kind of like post-production, especially with Musin being like the DJ, I feel like I kind of fit in there as well, like after the fact.
You know, Max has been doing this shit for like literally pretty much since he was born. Derrick has been, Justin, they've all been like super dedicated and like, you know, working really hard at music for a really long time. Like they were literally children.
I've always kind of struggled writing music, just like pulling that out of me and being like cool with it, to be like, all right, moving on. I'm like, I always feel like I get so stuck in place, and Max and Justin are just machines. So it's like I integrate myself where I can, but I'm observing, I'm learning from them. So
this is the best we've been currently. Like when we got into the studio and did the Generation of Danger, it was easy. We got in there and we kind of knew what the songs were, and everyone got to kind of experiment. It's all good, but like I said, at the end of the day, that's as long as Justin and I are kind of starting the songs off, and that's kind of where it comes from. And anyone else can just kind of, I mean, I don't imagine we're going to be swapping the lineup again. I would hope not.
I just learned so much from everyone in the band, and you know, even like our producer Josh, like that dude is like, every time I go there, I just feel like I've leveled up. Like you just drop 5 rare candies on me, and I'm just like, whoa, it's just the best.
But the basis of the songs, the structures, the riffs, the melodies, everything, that's kind of stems from me and Justin. As long as we're working on it, it's gonna kind of stay the same and not really change much.
I would say heavier at times. It's different in a way. It's like still the same band, same sound, but just more experimental.
Everything's way faster and more like I like to think of it like Matriphagy was like a and the Generation of Danger is more like
I don't really know. I kind of, at this point, it all just like, I can't even tell anymore. I need like outside opinions on that. I think we've just improved on everything with this album.
saying it's heavier, I guess could be debatable. It's not less heavy. It's definitely not a step backwards. It's anything but a step backwards.
A little bit more progressive, but not in a traditional like proggy way. It's just like more complicated.
There's definitely moments that are more melodic on it though. It's like kind of like if we had just expanded on the things that we did in Matriphagy and made it better. So the heaviness got heavier. The stuff we had that was melodic is way more melodic in this album. So it's overall, yeah, it's heavier, but like we're not sacrificing any melody or for that.
I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot more, dare I say, like styles of music at play. But no, when it's heavy, it's killer. It's heavy as hell, and like maybe not as like kind of that like raw straightforwardness as Matriphagy, but I don't know, also debatable. It's totally a step in a new direction, but it's a step up for sure.
Can you repeat the question? Though these lights are so bright, I can't really hear anything.
I believe Max and Justin had kind of already started that deep dive, like, can't say this for a fact, but I want to say before Matriphagy.
That album was kind of written before Matriphagy, so we had the songs held off because we had an EP.
We had No One Should Read This, which was our first release, which was the EP, which was the five of the songs that are on Matriphagy. And then I had gone in and I had written up all these songs for the Generation of Danger.
Now we decided, oh, well, bring back the other album, rework it, and then there you go.
Kind of went back to it. I tweaked some things, changed some parts, added some shit, added 2 more songs, and then we tracked it.
As far as like actually like starting the whole process of recording a new album and starting, you know, a new album, It was less than a year.
It was immediate. T God was written like already for the most part before Matriphagy like was even a thing.
Back in 2019, we pulled a fast one on the fans, and Matriphagy was supposed to be this album.
Been in the works for a long time.
We're assholes.
I would accredit that again to like Max and Justin pulling that out of those songs. But I don't know. Songs like that and the concepts that they came up with, like it just needed the detail.
It is more of a fleshed out concept from the start. Matriphagy was kind of expanding on a smaller concept, whereas this one was from the start we knew it was going to be the entire length of the album.
The whole concept album part for this one was weird because Max would just give me like instrumentals and be like, write over this. But he didn't tell me what order anything was going to be in, so I had to come up with a concept that I could put in any order I wanted and it would still make sense. That was kind of weird.
So could you listen to like track 6 and then track 2 and it makes sense?
Yeah.
It's like a choose your own adventure book.
It really is. That's a great way to put it.
I think we got better in the studio connecting the songs from one another on this album.
Probably because we had more time, because it was already written, like the foundation was there before. Like we recorded demos and then went into the studio and actually added more stuff that we didn't add in the demos. So it came together that way. There was a lot of time behind it for sure.
Going into this album, it was more like, let's definitely make everything flow. And it's kind of like, I think it feels more cinematic in a weird way, especially like the middle of the album when it gets to Of Nothing. It's like, that really feels like, it's like more of like an experience than a song, which I love.
So in Of Nothing, I actually blew out my voice in the song. I saved it for last because I planned to do it. Yeah, I just was like, I'm gonna drop all technique and just go wild on that one song. So I was like, Josh, I'm gonna record vocals for all of these songs first and then that one last because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna blow out my voice in it. And I did. Like we finished, I did the whole thing in one take and then he was like, that was a good take. And I was like, thanks, man. And he was like, yeah, you're done for the day, Justin, sorry. I actually did Mud Castle and How Long in one take as well. So the intro, the ending, and the interlude were all one take for me.
The scratching is definitely a lot harder on the new stuff. It pushed me to another level because the songs needed it to be like that. They're more complicated. It was more fun. And then when it comes to like production wise, that was just like more exploratory.
A lot of the heavier riffs and the complex like breakdowns and stuff like that require a lot of down picking stuff, a lot of fast down picking stuff. So that's just, I got better with that.
Funky sounds, crazy sounds were like, I mean, I think we spent multiple days on noise. Keeping in mind, like, you know, we'll replicate this live, like we have the capability to.
It definitely got more technical. I don't know if that was an intentional thing. I think I was just writing and then it just ended up happening like that. It was definitely not like a, let's just make this more difficult to play. It just happened. So it's not a conscious decision.
You're just getting better from experience playing.
Yeah, it's just like writing the songs are still the simple riffs and the fun beatdown parts, but then it's just like the stuff in between. I guess I was just like, fuck it, let's just do something weird, and shit just got really experimental. I mean, there's one of the songs has like so many tempo changes. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote that, but it's on there now. I feel pretty indifferent about it. I feel like when things like that come out, they either suck really hard or they like end up getting us a lot of attention, and then a couple months go by and everyone forgets about it. So it's like, what does it even matter at the end of the day?
The fans, they're fans of us. They want us to always like thrive, and you know, they don't want people fucking us over or anything bad happening to us, and you know, I appreciate that.
I think this kind of a yin-yang kind of thing. You know what they say, all press is good press. So it is, you know, silver lining situation. But also when stuff like that happens, it definitely like slows things down. Like it doesn't discourage us and it doesn't stop us, but it's like, now there's people who probably don't want to work with us, and it's like harder to do stuff in the industry, and it's like people do change, but there's also people get your first impression.
In a way, it pushes to try things differently, but also try harder for certain things to, figure out what works and what doesn't work. Just like learning from past mistakes and stuff. Just makes you stronger, yeah.
I feel like I get a laugh out of it initially. And it kind of is like, all right, do better. But I don't know, there's too many rules to be too concerned with, what people think about things like that. It's like, because at the end of the day, like, we're not here to like screw up anything else for anybody else, but it's like, just kind of let us do our thing. Just let us do what we want.
At the end of the day, in the moment, it might be crazy, it might be horrible, I might be like mad about it, or it might be like, this is awesome. And then a couple months go by and people forget about that and they're just talking about whatever the new dumb thing that we did is, so.
The Generation of Danger has no guest vocals or outside musicians, but I think we're probably going to do some more stuff in the future, but like not on albums, because they're concepts.
Did you guys write Vanilla Paste purposefully to get features?
The label was like, how do you guys feel about features? And we were like, that's a great idea, but it won't fit on the album, so we just wrote a standalone single to get some people on it and have fun.
We had that idea doing some singles with features, like almost taking a little inspiration from like hip hop and rap, and that was one thing we kind of landed on. We're like, bunch of singles, sprinkle in features. I mean, it hasn't totally come to fruition. There's not a bunch of singles yet, but a later release.
I think all of our albums are just gonna be us. We want, just because they're concept albums, it feels weird collabing with outsiders for like a verse or two. Like, we want to keep those just us. But in terms of just like one-off singles and stuff where they aren't attached to concepts and they're just kind of like, they're like non-canon songs for Tallah, then yeah, I'd like to do more collabs and stuff like that. So that's definitely something that would happen in the future, but never on an album.
Like, never say never, because like there are things that we and I and everyone in the band has said, like, we're not gonna do this, and then we kind of would change our mind later. But I'm pretty sure, like, there's not gonna be any vocal features, probably ever, in like Tallah albums.
Not entirely. For me, when I'm thinking of like how to fit the turntables and stuff, they kind of almost act like secondary vocals in a weird way. When I hear like a section and I'm like, okay, there could be vocals here, it's also like, oh, there can be scratching here, and then like maybe the scratching comes in on the first half and then the vocals or something like that.
I guess I'm not the one like playing the fucking DJ parts, but watching him like work with our producer Josh, it felt like ultra natural. Like, these songs like had space and needed that kind of like component.
You can kind of really fit it in anywhere. It doesn't need to be like a real like hip hoppy new metal part for it to be in there. It just needs to act percussive and kind of do its own thing.
After everything's done, we're just like, yo, Musin, scratch on the places where Max tells you to scratch.
With Tallah, there's already a lot there, and then I just kind of like pull more things out of it, and then it comes out.
You can't throw it in the entire song because then people will get tired of it, but we have it enough where like Musin really gets to shine. It comes in a couple sections of the song. It's memorable.
So it's just like extra bits thrown in to like layer it off?
Yeah. But don't let him know that I said that. He's just like the sprinkles, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like that kind of stuff is awesome. Like Max always has like really good ideas with that. Like the whole video game that we had with like Telescope, like that was all him, and it came out so well.
I don't know, it seems unique and people really respond to it. It's super fun for us to watch that like from the inside, and I mean, watch a video game being developed. I'm like, I had never seen such a process, but yeah, it was awesome.
As time goes on, I just get bored of just the regular like release of just posting a song and then that's it. Like I just kind of like have fun doing sort of out of the box things like that.
It would be awesome to be at a point where we could do like really elaborate stuff.
For me, it's like setting up those scavenger hunt things and seeing that video game sort of thing get put together is really satisfying for me. So like, honestly, it's just a personal thing at that point. Like I just do it because I want to see it at that, like honestly, so.
Try to get as big as possible in the genre. Try to expand out and grab other listeners. Try to be as big as possible, honestly. Like that's the goal.
We wanna obviously get as big as possible, but I also don't want to be one of those bands where people are like, Tallah put out another album, because I feel like there is a point where you should like stop, because I don't know, you should just like hit your peak and then just be done. Do other solo projects, start another band. It's like Breaking Bad. There's like 5 seasons of Breaking Bad, and everyone wants more, but you're never gonna get more. But you got Better Call Saul. Like it's got to be like that.
So you don't necessarily see this as a lifelong thing, just until it's the peak?
Yeah, like we got to hit that peak, and the second we feel like we're going down a little bit, we're all just gonna jump off the roller coaster.
I don't think a lot of people go into bands or like join bands or like work with a band, like writing music and putting in the time with like an end game, an exit plan in mind. So it's like, I don't really want to think of it like that, but I don't know. Yeah, we're just going till we can't right now. And I don't know. I'm happy with that.
You know how like Slipknot has Knotfest?
Yeah.
They promote so many younger bands through not just like the website and the articles and all that stuff. They had the Pulse of the Maggots Fest, the online one, and they have like a real one apparently now. They have the Knotfest Roadshow where they got like a ton of, you know, bands doing this leg and that leg, and it's just like, that shit's so cool. And it helps out so many people. It would be cool if Tallah could like be a part of that. Or
You know what? That's classified.
Probably the whole concept behind it, and mainly just how the songs work together.
Vocally, I did a lot, but we recorded the album in what, July/August 2021. So I'm like, if we would have recorded the album now, the vocals would be even more insane. I listen to it now and I'm like,
there are like specific things he does on this album that are just like mind-blowing, and like I love that shit.
We did a lot of more unconventional things on this album in terms of recording, which were really fun to do, which we didn't do on Matriphagy. We kind of kept that like your standard ways of recording, but this one we were doing stuff like tracking vocals like outside, and like while Justin was like running after, we set up like a little studio thing in the van and just had that driving down the road and had Justin following us, and like so we can like get him sounding winded on some of the takes. We did like underwater recordings because we just wanted it to sound chaotic, and we were just like, yeah, if it sounds like the guy's choking on water, that'll be even cooler.
I mean, Max writes most of it, but just like the way that he writes like the drums and the guitars and how it's so rhythm based and so, I don't know, like Max is my favorite part of the OT God.
There is one song where Derrick gives us this just incredible vocal run, and it's so unique, and he only does it just once, throws it in there. If you hear it, you know what I'm talking about. And in the studio, that was just like, oh my God, you guys hear this? It was awesome. I was like so stoked for Derrick, and like that sticks out so much.
there's always a deeper meaning. I like to say that like the whole concept, it's to kind of suck people in and to get them like listening to the music and like going into this cool fantasy world, but that's like 10% of the story. Like if you read the lyrics as if there was no concept at all, you're gonna get a lot more out of them because there's always multiple layers. I never write like, this song's about a guy that walked into a store and bought a can of baked beans.
For me, I would say it's about the concept because I'm just kind of weird and I never really listen to lyrics ever. It's just a personal thing. So I guess for me, I'm just thinking about the concept and trying to get, and just like picturing it visually when I listen to the album. But I know for a fact, like the fans, when they hear our songs, they talk about the concept a lot, obviously, because that's a big part of like what we're doing. But they also, a lot of people kind of interpret it in their own ways. So I know a lot of people do get that way. But for me, I just, not being like a huge lyric reader and interpreter, the imagery comes to me when I'm listening to it, and that's kind of what I'm picturing.
And then he dropped the baked beans because he thought he was gonna get like a 20% discount.
I've always really connected with Justin's lyrics. I think about that more than like the concept, because like, you know, there's layers to the concept and that's all cool and all, but I very much like find the most value in Justin's lyrics are like when he's like telling people, like, he's always hiding motivational stuff.
All I did was spill beans all over the floor.
The energy behind it, especially when being on stage and performing them, there's a certain energy that I feel that I just take it out on stage. Like hearing the crowd even sing back the lyrics, it's just like surreal.
I don't know. I mean, I've definitely spent some time like just as like a fan of Tallah, like first 2 years of the band, whatever, like obviously like reading the lyrics, like delving into that and being like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
And then had to call someone to come pick up the beans.
I don't feel personally like, oh, I've totally experienced this. But it's like, you do kind of manipulate lyrics to your favorite song or whatever to kind of fit your life. And I think people write songs like that. You know, it's like, this needs to fit into lots of people's narrative, but obviously Justin does not write like that. Justin writes for his agenda, and like,
The album's not about beans. It's about why would you think that's a good idea to drop the beans and cheat the system in the first place?
Don't give up. You know, if you have a goal, you have a dream, just always focus on that every day. Don't let, if anything gets in the way, just push through it. That's it.
Don't give up, don't kill yourself, and keep trying with your dreams. And if the first dream doesn't work, find a second way to go around it.
bringing this music to people has been, it's been an honor to be a cheeseball about it, but like, it really has. Like, being in this band has been totally a privilege. So, I mean, a big, long, drawn-out thank you like that would be the big one.
These are way too many lumens.
I have nothing inspirational to say. I don't know. The whole thing's just kind of weird. I mean, to be honest, we've done a lot of dumb shit and people still like us. So, like, I don't know. I don't know what the trick is. I don't know if that's supposed to be inspirational.